All right. Thanks, everyone. Hi, my name is Mia Paulus. Thanks for joining us. This is the first time you've joined one of my lives. Today, I don't know, I feel like I'm on adrenaline. I'm really excited about things that are happening. I'm just things with my team. We're just moving along and things are getting done. And it's just a good feeling when everything's just kind of working together. So, I don't know about you, but I'm excited for the future and what's ahead. I know it's been a rough 2020, a lot of stuff going on, but there's so much. When I start to see that there can be change and good things happening from trauma and hard times, that actually makes me excited and makes me want to take action. And so I think if we stay in that fear zone and in that area that we don't want to change, we just want to stay in our comfort zone, not much is going to happen to the world. We're just going to go back to the way we were. So in today's live, we're going to talk about embracing the uncomfortable. That is actually a core value that we have at my company, The Center. And it's something that makes people uncomfortable when you say embrace the uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to embrace the uncomfortable. I like staying in my comfort zone. But in order to really have change, we have to be able to, oh, sorry, my phone's my ring. And okay, in order to have change, we have to be willing to, or in order to have growth, we have to be willing to change. So today we will be talking about how to embrace the uncomfortable and become a better version of you. And I think it all starts within ourselves and how we approach the world, and then it can spread out into other people's lives. So I'm a firm believer we first have to start with us. And all right, let's go ahead and get started. So this is something that this topic is something I'm very passionate about, and it's because I've had so many people in my life, whether mainly personally, I would say, that have had, oh, this is just the way I am. You have to accept the way I am. And it's like, I'm not willing to, one, hang around people that have that mentality, because I put so much pressure on myself to become a better person that I don't, it's like it's a no-win situation if you hang out with people that are like, this is the way I am, you have to accept me for who I am. And it's amazing how many of us actually say that. And so it is a huge pet peeve of mine when I hear somebody say that, because no, we are meant to become the best version of ourselves. That is our purpose in this life. Our essential purpose is to become the best version of ourselves. So if you're one of those that says, I always say that, like, just, I encourage you to think about how is that going to help you progress and become a better person. If if you're saying this, I'm not going to change, and this is the way I am. So one of the things that really changed my life was a phrase. I actually did a live on this, I think a week ago or so, was the phrase "be humbly bold." And it's amazing how many people reached out and said, I love that phrase. Like, I've never heard that before. And it really was a phrase that made the biggest difference in my life of be humbly bold. Like, be willing to have the hard conversations, be willing to talk to people, say things. Obviously, you want to say them in a nice way and in a loving way. And it isn't always, because even I thought about, like, just, I really feel like to be able to make change in the world. I had that meeting or conversation with Clayton last week on the Black Lives Movement, and how really to help make change, we have to be willing to break down walls and start to have conversations. And so in order to do that, we need to start embracing the uncomfortable and be willing to ask and open up and learn and be willing to have people share some of those hard things. A lot of times we don't ask those questions because we don't want to hear it, because we don't want to know that there's this bad happening in the world. And so it's good, it's healthy to have those type of conversations. And so I first want to kind of talk about it from an individual perspective, and then I want to shift into how this can apply to business and entrepreneurship, because a lot of you that follow me are probably business owners or entrepreneurs or executives, and so I really want to tie this into how becoming the best version of yourself actually will help your business and help make you successful. So how do we become the best version of ourselves? I talk about this a lot, but like our 4 legitimate needs, and making sure that we are tapping into all of those and making sure that all of those needs are getting met. So the first one is, they don't be in any order, but intellectual is one of them. And so we always want to be making sure we're learning and growing and gaining wisdom and knowledge. And that doesn't mean like take what the experts say or the news says, or the media says, and be like, this is fact and this is truth. No, take it, put it through your brain, and then be able to spit out what looks off to you or doesn't feel right, and absorb the things that seem like, yeah, that does seem like it seems like it should be that way. And so I think so often we aren't willing to spit out some of the things that entrepreneurs, or I'm sorry, as experts, that they say. So be willing to spit out that 20% that might just seem off. And then the other one is social or emotional. So as human beings, we have this need to be willing to connect with other people. And I think we're probably not getting it on social media. I think that's probably the most divisive place we can find right now. And so where do we find it? How do we come up with those? And there's a lot of great groups on social media, though. I feel like that is the place where you can really find, if you're home and you don't get out a lot, go find some good positive groups on social media that are looking to uplift each other, and where you can all work together as one to become better people. I think that really helps. And then also, get involved in your community. Go find places to serve. I think that's another great way. So I said intellectual, emotional or social is another word for it. And then physical. So we all have physical needs. Obviously, we have like true physical needs of like food and water and things like that. But we also need to take care of ourselves physically and make sure that for me as a visionary, I know for me, I have to keep my brain fresh and alive. And so the physical aspect is important to keep my brain going. And then we also have the spiritual side. And I think that is a side in business that we discount the most. But to me, it's the most important. And as Tony Robbins says often, is that business is a spiritual game. And I fully believe it. Employees work for you because of the spiritual aspect of business, and customers buy from you because of that spiritual. And I would even throw emotional side in as well. So more of those touchy-feely elements is why people are aligning with you. And but yeah, it's the part that doesn't want to get talked about, or we don't want to be real and authentic with that. And spiritual is nothing more than connecting your heart and your mind together to be able to, a lot of times we'll say, oh, my gut says this. And so we can usually explain why our brain wants a certain way, but we don't always know why our gut or our heart is saying, oh, something else, it just doesn't feel right. So it's always important to put the two together, look at the facts, look at what your heart is saying, and put the two together to make decisions and find the way forward. And so those are kind of the 4 legitimate needs as far as like becoming the best version of ourselves. But how do we embrace the uncomfortable? I think a lot of us, it's fear, or maybe we have some trauma that was stemmed from our childhood, or different things that keep us from wanting to get out of our comfort zone. I know in our company, in our culture, it takes employees sometimes when they're new, a couple months to really realize that they're in a safe place and really be able to break down some walls and get talking and know that they can communicate if something's bothering them. But it's something that is hardwired, and it's ingrained in us to not want to break down those walls and not willing to embrace the uncomfortable side of us. And I heard something once, it's probably been about a year ago, and it really made a big impact on me on how you can get more courage and a little more faith to take action. And it was really this 5-second rule. And this guy is like, man, he's an amazing guy that did a ton in the military. I want to say even with the CIA, I don't know if that's known or anything, but he was just really in the trenches with a lot of, I'm sure, some dark stuff. And sometimes going into the battlefield would be fearful. I'm like, how did you guys, and he had people ask him this, like, how did you actually want to go into war? How do you even do that? And he says, the thing to remember is that it really only takes 5 seconds of courage to do something. And so if you're going into battle, once you take and you just go and you just use your inner being to do that, and after 5 seconds your adrenaline kicks in, or maybe it's God and grace that helps kick in, and whatever you want to associate the things that happen after the 5 seconds, regardless, like if you just know that in 5 seconds you'll have the courage to do whatever it takes. But it's amazing how many of us will stay planted and not do whatever it took for those 5 seconds to make that action happen. So just keep that in mind. Like, that has just been in my brain. Okay, it's only going to take me 5 seconds. I could do this. Starting that conversation. Okay, 5 seconds in, like, it's just going to start flowing. So I just encourage you to have a little more faith and have a little more courage. And that 5-second rule, I think, really helps. So now let me kind of switch that and tie that into business. And I often say it's really hard to be successful in business or make a difference in business if you yourself are not healthy and strong and in a good place mentally. And I believe that more now than ever. And yeah, if all you cared about in business was money and how can I make, 6 figures or 10 figures, it you have to, to me, like, business is so much more than that. Like, that is what's getting capitalism a bad rap right now, is because we got away from really wanting to become good companies, not great companies, not the best in the world at this, but a good company that has good morals and good values and good vision and a good culture and a safe place for people to come and work and to be open about what they're thinking and being willing to share differences and having differences of opinion. And I think we got away from that. And so what's happening is we're holding on to our extremes, right? We're holding on to, this is how it is, and I'm not willing to change. And over here, I'm not willing to change. I'm not willing to listen. And so we're here at these polar opposites. But I really believe that if we learn to break down some walls and we start to come closer together, that we'll find that we're more alike than we are different. And really, that really starts with embracing the uncomfortable. And it really, to me, I believe entrepreneurship and business can be the grassroots way to change the world. So let's start, for those businesses that are listening, like, let's start on how to become good companies. And I just wrote an article on this that I'm going to be posting to LinkedIn about becoming a good company and what that takes, and really seeing who else wants to join the movement with me of becoming a good company, just not profit driven. Obviously, you have to make a profit. Money helps to make a difference even more. But I'm a true believer that if you do the right thing and you find out ways to serve your customers and your employees better, like, money follows. And it doesn't mean you're not obviously smart and making smart financial decisions. I'm not downplaying that. But at the end of the day, if we really come at it from a authentically serving perspective, like, how much could that, you're able to impact the world. You're able to have money that can bless the lives of your employees, of the customers you serve, of the world. I mean, it can trickle outward if we start first with the companies we form. If we can have that good culture in a company and be able to have conversations and break walls. And so I'm just a firm believer, if we can start as individuals to become healthy, and then if you have a business, figure out how to create that same level of healthy and culture within your own company. And so that is kind of where my mind's at right now. I hate when people say this is the way I am, accepting for the way I am. Like, or my other biggest pet peeve, so, is when you see these love memes go around and you're like, that sounds like abuse to me. Like, I don't know, but I was actually trying to find some love memes that I've seen pass through social media where people are all like, yeah, that's love and that's love. I'm like, I don't know, that seems like abuse. Like, I'm all about love. Like, we need to love everybody, even our enemies. I fully get that, but we also have to be willing to set boundaries and make sure that we can keep our own spiritual moral compass internally and not be so reactionary influenced by the world and going full extremes up and full extremes down. Like, how about we figure out a way to, we're going up and down, but we don't need to go to the full up and down with the world. So I hope that's helpful. I didn't want to take too much time today, just kind of do a shorter live. I love our core value, embrace the uncomfortable. It ties really well with my personal moral slogan I always say, which is be humbly bold. We need more of that. We need more courageous people in the world willing to take a stand, make a difference, and not from a stand of like, I know I'm right and that's the only way the world is gonna change. No, let's be vulnerable. Let's be open and be willing to listen to the other sides and realize that we don't know as much as we think we do. I actually just listened to a TED Talk over the weekend about this. I was researching the topic around why we do what we do. So if you just Google that and you find, like, I think the TED Talk will be one of the first ones that pops up. It was really cool to gain insight into the fact that we don't know as much as we think we do. If people were willing to make decisions in the study that he did, that they actually flip-flop their opinion without them even knowing it, which means that, again, we don't know as much as we think we do. And so because of that, let's be willing to have a little more of an open mind and see other sides and And so that said, I'm going to be talking a lot, you'll find out in the future, about purpose, values, and vision. I have a book that I've been working around that concept. I have 2 other books that are kind of piggybacked right behind that. That's going to kind of take you from the standpoint of knowing what your purpose is in life as an individual and as a company, and taking it all the way down to joy and ultimately having freedom in your business. Because if you have that freedom in your business, you now have the time and the money to be able to make a difference in the world. And so I'm getting to the concept of becoming good companies again, and getting back to what I feel like is a big root of why we should have companies. If you're only doing it for the money, I just think that you're going to miss out on a lot of joy in this life. So with that said, keep following me if you want to really tune in to how to become a good company and the way to have true joy and freedom in your business. That's what I talk about all the time. So follow me on my socials. It's Miss Mia Paulus. And other than that, I love you guys, and I'll see you on Thursday. Bye.